Welcome to the Warsquared Fantasy Football Podcast, a full-service year-round podcast with weekly episodes to provide fans with info on their teams and players. Whether you're a newbie or a longtime veteran of the fantasy wars, Warsquared is the podcast for you. All right, welcome in. Happy Thanksgiving. This is Thanksgiving week. We're going to have 3 exciting games. Everybody plays this week. No buys in week 12, but we'll look back at week 11 real quick. Injuries and recaps. Let's start with the Rams. Cooper Kupp going to be out 6 to 8 weeks post-surgery. Let's see, week 11 adds 6 weeks.
He's done.
Yeah, he's not playing again this year.
Go home, put your leg up, get a heel.
He can come back for the playoffs.
Playoffs? Jinx, you owe me a Coke.
And then Matt Stafford is in the concussion protocol officially now. When I wrote this, he was not officially in the concussion protocol, which probably means he's out at least 2 more weeks.
Here's my prediction. Matt Stafford never takes a snap in the NFL again.
That's a bold prediction. I did look it up on Over the Cap. If they cut him with a post-June 1, they still are on the hook for $15 million in dead money.
If he retires, what does he get?
I don't know about that because I don't think it accelerates it like it does if he retires, if he is cut. If he's cut, there's $89 million in dead money.
Yeah.
Oh, pre-June 1.
Yeah. Here's what's going to happen is the Rams are going to hold a fire sale. They're going to trade everything they possibly can away to get draft picks in order to be able to replenish themselves over the next 2 years. And in 5 years, they might be relevant again.
Yeah, like Tobin and I said before the show, it was worth it. They won a Super Bowl last year.
There's no doubt.
They went all in and won the bet.
Yep.
But now you got to pay the back end of that.
Yeah. We're recording on Tuesday, which I think is going to be our new recording day, but Darrell Henderson Jr. was cut by the Rams today.
Cut today, gone.
Bye, Felicia.
Bye.
I mean, Daryl.
Now he
was that Daryl or his other brother, Daryl?
Definitely. Both. And he's a UFA after next year. So I don't think they wanted to even sign him.
I don't think they lose anything by cutting him now. They've let him go out there, sign up for a playoff team. Of course, let's be real. Texans are going to pick him up.
I don't know. In other cut news, Melvin Gordon was cut on Monday.
I heard he fumbled the cut.
Now, there was something really funny that they put out there on Twitter that the reason he was cut is because he came in the locker room and was blasting Future. And Future, as some of us know, is the ex-fiance of Sierra, pre-Russell Wilson.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah.
So much for team cohesion.
Yeah. Now, that's just on Twitter. That's probably all made up.
There's a whole new meaning to let's ride.
Absolutely does. A few more injuries. Wandale Robinson, breakout game for the Giants and tore his ACL. So
he broke out all right.
He did. He's on IR and done. I don't know if he'll play next year with it being such a late injury.
He has a chance simply because how well he heals, that type of stuff.
I mean, think about it. He'll be a month ahead of OBJ this year.
He'll be 2 months ahead of Jameson Williams, who was activated today off the PUP list. So go back 2 months. That puts us about for 1 or 2 weeks into the season. Just depends on how extensive damage and what else they had to do in order to be able to repair everything.
And of course, how he reacts to it.
Correct.
Doc put Kyle Pitts on the block in the Dynasty League this week. So
Probably got hurt.
Of course, he's on IR with an MCL sprain.
There is a God.
Doc, what's Kyle Pitts' value today?
The same value it was before the MCL sprain.
Wow. Okay.
This year's not good. Future's great. His problem this year is the quarterback and becoming the blocking tight end rather than receiving wide receiver end that he should be.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Justin Fields day-to-day with a shoulder dislocation. One of the things, now, there's conflicting reports on a shoulder dislocation. Some people have reported it. Some people are saying that they have sources that say it was not dislocated. So I don't know what really makes sense.
So they located it?
Hold on. I read one that was what's called a subluxation, which is a partial dislocation of the shoulder that is typically self-limiting and resets itself back in with no long-term damage whatsoever based upon what else was done.
Okay. The key thing to note here is Eberflus, the head coach of the Bears, did not rule out season ending. So, yikes.
Who knows?
Everybody watched the Sunday night game, saw Big Mike Williams play again on his one and only catch, retweak his high ankle sprain. don't think I like him for sure this week. Maybe he does a Jonathan Taylor. He's out this week and he comes back in 2 weeks.
Who knows? It's how do you tweak an ankle like that? Walk around the sidelines carrying a helmet, not go back in the game. At some point in time, dude got to gut it up and got to put the nutsack on and go for a game.
He was going hard for some Gatorade. Give him some slack. Come on now.
He was. He made a hell of a cut to get there though.
Yep. Had to beat the line.
That's right. Bro Mixon concussed during the Steelers game. He's in the concussion protocol. He left in the third quarter. I don't know that he'll clear this week, so you may be without Joe Mixon.
There's still a chance, but make sure you have somebody else who can replace him in a short-term notice.
Yep. We'll get to replacements in the waiver wire section. We'll start with the Thursday night recap. Funny enough, I was on the West Coast, so I was like, I got back to the hotel. I was like, oh man, I bet the game's still on. Let me check.
Yeah.
26, 25, 24. Titans win this one, 27-17.
You missed a good game.
I missed an ass kicking by the Titans here in the snow at Lambeau. I did watch it back afterwards. Ryan Tannehill, 333 yards, 2 touchdowns. Rodgers, 227 and 2, and a 2-point pass. King Henry, I originally saw King Henry, and it was King Henry got a touchdown, and Ryan Tannehill threw 2. And I was like, well, did they get a defensive score? Where was the other score from?
No.
Oh no. King Henry threw a touchdown pass. For 4 yards.
To which he tweeted, I am Peyton Manning Jr. in training.
He is. Austin Hooper balled out 4 for 36 and 2 touchdowns. The other TD pass thrown by Tannehill was to Dontrell Hilliard to start the scoring. Both of Rodgers were to Christian Watson, who was 4 for 48 with 2 touchdowns. They totally held Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon in check. Jones only had 60 combined yards in the 2-pointer. The other big story here, Treylon Burks, 7 for 111.
He looked like a game changer.
Oh,
It looked like the Titans actually have some wide receiver depth and players.
I hope that the time off helped him turn the page to being the real replacement for A.J. Brown like he was drafted to be.
Yeah, I think what happened was he actually learned the playbook by being out that long without having to learn it on the fly. And he was able to adjust the speed again. The first pass the game Tannehill threw was to him. And quite frankly, I thought he was going to go all the way, but he doesn't quite have that that he needs right now to be able to get there, but he will.
Yeah. We'll move to Sunday night into Tobin's Chiefs 30, Chargers 27. An awesome game. Herbert led a 5-minute drive to take the lead 27-23, but left too much time for Pat to find Travis Kelce for the 3rd time.
I mean, he left multiples of 13 seconds. Come on.
Oh, yeah. It was like a minute and a half.
Yeah.
Why don't they just kneel down for a play, let the clock run out, take 30 seconds on the clock, kneel down again, and do it on the 3rd, and if they don't score on the 3rd, kick the field goal, go for the tie.
Well, they get a 1st and goal at the 7, and I'm screaming. This was like 2:18 on the clock, and I am screaming my head off for Reed to call his timeout. In theory, you force them to get to an end game by the 2-minute warning at worst. He doesn't, lets it run to the 2-minute warning.
He knew what he was doing.
And then they let him score 1 timeout later, and then he's got 2 timeouts and Pat. And
yeah, why don't you just kneel down a couple of times, Justin, then try scoring the 3rd down play, then kick
the problem is that wasn't on Staley's analytics sheet. You have to have actual coaching strategy and thought process, not just read probabilities.
I don't think I would have ever kneeled down twice, but I would have run the ball twice rather than throwing it like they did.
Well, yeah, I mean, you eat 5-6 extra seconds if you run in sweeps, and
you make them burn the timeouts, which make it, in theory, more difficult for the Chiefs to go down the field. Although,
Reed could have forced it to a conclusion by the 2-minute warning, and he chose not to, which made 0 sense to me. But what do I know?
He gets paid millions of dollars. We just sit here and say good things about him every week.
It worked out, right?
Yeah,
that was a hell of a game.
Yeah. Herbert 280 and 2, 5 for 17 on the ground. Both TDs to Joshua Palmer, 8 for 106 and 2 for that guy. He'll continue to be a stud with Big Mike out again this week, I'm sure. Pat won the matchup though, 329 and 3, 4 for 23 on the ground, all to Travis Kelce, who was 6 for 115 and 3. The big talking fantasy analyst things this week so far is this is why you draft Travis Kelce at the end of the 1st, top of the 2nd round.
Oh, I agree.
Because he is so far above any other tight end, the positional advantage is too great.
Well, if
he's still there.
If we look at Kelce from last year to this year, his numbers are better this year They're comparable 2 years ago, whereas I was the first person in 2 of the 3 leagues that we're in together to draft a tight end. And why I chose Andrews, because I expected Kelsey to decline this year again.
Not bad for a 33-year-old, huh?
He didn't.
Just keeps getting better.
He is why I had him as the MVP is the game that he showed us last Sunday night, because he changed that game's complexion from one end to the other end with his abilities.
In the Dynasty League that we're in together, I looked at his game log after this. His lowest point total in a PPR is like 10.9.
Yeah.
That was like week 2.
And that gives you, he's the tight end that gives you a minimum 3 to 4 points per game advantage over your opponent. In most cases, it's double digits for this year. That's why he goes in the last first.
And he shows up every week.
Yep.
So we talked about Big Mike Williams. He, Kadarius Toney, CEH, all left early with injuries. Pacheco had 107 rushing, looked like a monster. Next year, he is going to be phenomenal, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Eckler, 83-1 on the ground, 2 for 17 through the air, which I thought was a bad use of Austin Eckler.
They did a good job of limiting his touches outside carrying the ball.
And Keenan Allen, 5 for 94 in his comeback. If he was just faster.
If he was 0.2 seconds faster,
he'd be a monster. After Kadarius Toney was out, Sky Moore finally stepped up.
It's a pop-up game. Don't get excited.
5 for 63. Well, they're going to have to use him again. I don't know if Juju will clear, but they're going to have to use Sky Moore more because I don't think Tony's playing with his hamstring.
I don't think Tony's playing. This is the reason why the Giants got rid of Tony. This is the exact reason why they got rid of him.
Yeah, he's great for the Chiefs because the Chiefs don't need him. He's a bonus.
Yep.
Monday night from Mexico City, 49ers 38, Cardinals 10 in a boat race. Jimmy G's 228-4, 2 each to Kittle, 4 for 84 and 2, and Ayuk 2 for 20 and 2. So Ayuk was a 222 guy. Debo finally looked like Debo again, getting a 37-yard rush for a touchdown and getting 7 for 57. I got to tell you, when he catches a crossing pass, it is amazing.
Those two, the stiff arm he threw on the first guy just kind of basically threw him to the ground and looked like a WWE move.
Right. CMC, no TD, but 39 yards rushing, 7 for 67 through the air. So he's giving you, 16 points.
Without really doing
17
anything.
points, not doing hardly anything.
No.
He was an afterthought when they started putting the clock away to make sure he didn't get injured.
Oh, yeah, they just put him on the bench.
Elijah Mitchell came in and looked really impressive running the ball, and CMC's over there going, Coach, can I go in? I don't want to be replaced.
Well, and the thing to keep in mind for all you fantasy owners heading into the playoff stretch now is Debo looked like he was nicked at least twice last night, and he's perpetually injured. So keep an eye on that.
I think it was a cramp issue, the combination of altitude and everything. The big thing about altitude, you cannot drink enough water.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because you dehydrate really quick. McCaffrey, the graphic they showed, I really loved. The only NFL player in history to average 50 yards rushing and receiving per game for their career. Greg Dortch stepped up for the Cardinals after Rondale Moore hammied his way out of the game. I actually think it's a groin is what they've now termed it as. Dortch was 9 for 109. Connor got the lone Cardinals touchdown, and D-Hop is inevitable with 9 for 91.
Okay, now, the Cardinals fired a coach on today after sending him home early on Monday. You think that's the only coach going to get fired in Arizona this month?
This month? Yes.
Or next
this
month?
year? No.
Okay.
Montezuma's revenge got them. I'm pretty sure he suited up for the Niners last night.
The Cardinals are 5-12 since they were 7-0 to start last year.
Well, you saw the stats. I mean, Kingsbury did the same thing at Texas Tech. Started out like a house fire boat race, people. Last third of the season, I mean, it was a train wreck.
And that's because the coaching ability comes in at that point in time.
He's
Right off the
consistent.
ribs. Right.
Consistently sucks.
Consistently sucks. Cowboys 40, Vikings 3, and what was billed as the game of the day. It was so far.
Was not.
Hit it.
They look phenomenal.
mean, I was watching that game saying, Mama, there goes that man.
Oh,
He's
my
doing
gosh.
bad things.
Could he have thrown the ball to anybody else but Pollard for the touchdowns?
He could have.
Yeah,
Anybody. He
could
could have thrown to anybody, literally.
Schultz,
I needed 6
Lamb.
points to win a game. Couldn't get him. He threw them all to Pollard.
Sorry for your luck.
Happens that way. This year's been one of those years.
Dak was Phil Simms, like 22 of 25, 276 and 2, both to Tony Pollard, the first Cowboy running back to have two 30-yard plus TD receiving touchdowns in a game.
Man.
Had 80 rushing yards, 6 for 109 and 2. That is a monster number, whether you're a running back or a receiver.
Okay, Seth.
My goal is to get that in 37 times. That's how many points they won, which was also a franchise record.
Okay, Seth.
Zeke did come back, ran 2 short ones in. Marr kicked in 22 fantasy points, 3 50-plus yarders. One was a 60.
Well, 4 really, if you count the one that got screwed over on the review, and then he had to go do it again.
Right. The Vikings were just shut down as Captain Kirk disappeared in a feature game for like the 15,000th time.
Who's surprised?
And he's got another one coming, right?
Yeah.
So-
Sunday.
No,
Monday,
Thursday.
Thursday. Yep.
Thursday night. Who the hell thinks he's going to do well Thursday night? Raise your hand. That's right.
The dogs rolled over either, so.
Justin Jefferson, 3 for 33. Cook had 72 yards rushing. It was not as close as this score makes it seem. Remember, they cut away from this game to go to the more competitive game midway through the third quarter.
And could have done it earlier.
Wow.
Yeah.
With the 19th pick in the first round, the Vikings choose any quarterback available.
The Vikings opponent, the Patriots, 10-3 over the Jets. For everyone in Wichita who was treated to this as their only noon game, well, next year you'll be able to stream anything you want. This game totally blew
Thank
chunks.
God I can already.
Not everybody can. Ramondre, 6 for 56 receiving, only 26 rushing yards on the ground. This was 3-3 until the Pats returned the first punt for a TD in the NFL this season with 5 seconds to go in the game.
And there was a
Also-
block in the back about the 15-yard line that
It was
sprung
about the
last few yards.
5-yard line.
Yeah.
It was blatant, too.
Oh, it was so bad.
That was a disgustingly horrible game to watch.
Brutal. Lots of things going on with the Jets right now. Don't be surprised if Mike White is your starter against the Bears this week.
That'll be fun.
Eagles 17, Colts
At
16.
least your mom will be safe.
This one started off great for the Colts. JT marches down the field with 49 yards and a TD, and the Colts storm out to a lead, but JT had only managed 35 more yards and 3 for 14 receiving and losing a fumble. Jalen Hurts never really got going, finishing 190-1 through the air, 86-1 on the ground.
Including the touchdown with the parting of the seas.
Oh,
Did they call that play Moses or what?
Yeah, Moses is going.
Holy shit.
That was
I
unbelievable.
mean, did the
where's
Colts
the
suddenly
five?
go into sideline defense inside the 5? Because that's what it looked like.
Yeah, I'm looking at that game going, you realize the number one weapon on the field is Hurts, and you left him wide open on his own?
I mean, the 3 of us could have ran through that hole.
Oh, for sure.
Yes.
We might not have scored, but
We would have
we would have got
scored.
the first down, but maybe not the score.
No, we would have. I mean, there was nobody within 5 yards either way.
A.J. Brown didn't get going after an opening 14-yard catch, lost a fumble late that would have led to a touchdown for the Eagles. Smith and Pittman, why is it Pittman? I don't even know who Pittman's supposed to be. We're both okay. 6 for 78, 6 for
Is it
75.
Pittman on the Colts?
Oh, Colts.
Michael
yeah.
Pittman.
I was thinking for the Eagles. I'm sorry, I'm tired.
That's the first time I've never seen your years engaged on a person's name.
It's been a long couple of days. They were just okay. 6 for 78, 6 for 75. Both of those guys should have done a lot
That's still
better.
13 points. That's not bad
At least
for
you
a
didn't type Wesson. I mean, Smith and Wesson, 6
Yeah.
for 75.
Then we would have had shots fired sound.
That could happen.
That's coming up.
Not sure that was a Smith and Wesson, but okay.
Bengals 37, Steelers 30. Steelers have something on the Bengals. It took a career game from Samaje Perine, who took over for Joe Mixon, to win this. 30 rushing yards, but 4 for 52 and 3, with the last one coming after Joe Mixon was ruled out with a concussion. So before this, all you Joe Mixon owners were like, what the hell? Why is Samaje Perine getting these 2 receiving touchdowns?
My head hurts.
But it was before he was concussed.
My head still hurts.
Burrow, a big game, 355 and 4, one that I think Doc called for a couple weeks ago, mostly to T. Higgins, who was 9 for
And
148.
And last week.
Najee Harris was finally Najee Harris, thanks to Jalen Warren leaving with a hamstring injury. He had 92 on the ground, 4 for 26 through the air. George Pickens is coming on, 4 for 83 with a touchdown. And Freiermuth is always open, 8 for 79. He's going to move into my top 5 tight ends, guys.
If the Steelers had an offensive line, that'd be deadly. They've got the weapons now to be able to do that. With just maturity is all they need. And they're going to be just fine, which is going to piss me off. That's right, Zane. I said it.
Falcons 27, Bears 24. Justin Fields won the fantasy battle but lost the war. 153-1 through the air, 85-1 on the ground to Mariota's 131-1 and 25-1. But Mariota led his team to a game-winning field goal from Ingweku. Justin Fields left on the cart with this shoulder injury we're talking about, so keep watching this. I'm really worried.
Why do you leave on the cart with a shoulder injury, I question?
Because that one of Jardine Morsey walks.
Okay.
I think he was just exhausted. I mean, he went out with cramps with the same thing. They were stretching out his hamstrings. I mean, he's ran for 400 yards in the past 3 games.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Cordero and Algier, great average per rush, but we're not great outside of Cordero, setting the record for most kickoff returns for a TD with 9. Congrats, Hutch Blue Dragon, which is where Cordero played before he went to, did he go to Louisville, Arkansas?
I believe it was Louisville.
Tennessee?
It wasn't Tennessee. I think it was Louisville.
David Montgomery, 67-1 on the ground, 3 for 54 through the air. Best game of the season by far. Mooney caught the Fields receiving TD. London Mariotas for his only catch of the day, 1 for 2 for 1.
Not a bad stat line.
Brutal.
7.2 points, but still ugly.
Yeah, brutal. Pitts left with a knee injury. And Cole Kmet disappeared.
Well, he was due to disappear. He had 2 great games in a row that shut his season up.
Right.
Expectations went up, and as soon as they go up, everybody
His performance went down.
Yep.
Right. From Detroit, the Bills went around through Canada. The Browns came around Lake Erie on the bottom and got to Detroit 31-23. Bills take this one. It wasn't as close as it looks, although Jacoby Brissett was way better than Josh Allen.
I mean, it was 10-3 Browns at one point. So, I mean, it was a ball game.
Watching
in
this,
the second half, it was not.
Correct. But early on, it
was-
took Buffalo a while to get their legs
under
under
this game, and got to tell you, the Browns are going to be scary once they get Watson in 2 weeks.
Oh, well, if they keep going with Chubb. I mean, so Brissett was 324-3, 7 for 29 on the ground. Allen was only 197-1, 3 rushes for 7 yards. I really thought Allen was going to rush a lot more. But Nick Chubb, 19 rushing yards, 3 for 48 out of the backfield. Amari Cooper was the one who went off, 8 for 113-2. One of the things they really pointed out on this, and they've been talking about the past couple of days, is the late hands. So for those of you watching from home, one of the things was receivers are running down the field, they're running down, and if they show their hands, the D-backs are going to try to knock them down or put their hands up. So Amari Cooper is running down the field, and then all of a sudden he's like, boom, and the ball's there in his hands. And that's one of the things that led him to really go off in this game.
Well, and the Bills really sold out to try and stop the run. I mean, that's why you saw Chubb get limited. So they're loading the box. That
they did run blitzes all day long.
You can't double Cooper, who's really their only threat on the outside, and load the box.
Yeah,
they were going to do run blitzes all game long and put pressure on Brissett by doing that. And then go man-to-man outside, which they can do with their defensive backs.
They didn't believe Brissett and Cooper could beat him. They thought Chubb could beat him and grind him out, limit the possessions.
Which is why we wanted the game to be held in Buffalo, not in Detroit. That way we got to see the Nick Chubb show. Where
right.
Well, Nick Chubb and Devin Singletary are shorter than the amount of snowfall they had on the field in Orchard Park. So there's that. I mean,
there is that. I mean, have you seen some of the pictures from Buffalo?
It's fantastic.
It is unbelievable.
I think that they also limited Allen, knowing he was going to have to play again Thursday, the early Thursday game.
Well, I think that's why you're not seeing him run as much now, and I think that's going to be a new thing until that elbow is healed a little bit more, because you don't understand the pounding and then getting up off that, but the pounding of that, guarding the ball, holding the ball, and the tension.
Because people are going to take shots at that elbow just because it's that elbow.
I mean, he's a runner at that point.
Would you do that if you could?
He's not protected. He's a runner. Yeah.
Yep.
Now, Singletary had 86 rushing yards and a touchdown, 2 for 11. Cook had 86 rushing yards. So that's really why Allen didn't have a lot of his gaudy passing numbers. He didn't have to. Diggs only 4 for 48-1 and was throwing a fit on the sideline until he caught his first catch for a touchdown right before half.
He's a diva. It runs in the family.
100%.
That's why wide receivers are... With the diva wide receiver that we started seeing appear in the 1980s and really the 1990s,
in my mind, Terrell Owens is probably the last real high-end diva wide receiver that actually backed it up. Maybe Antonio Brown until he went just
Antonio
over the
Brown,
deep end.
when he was in Pittsburgh, yes.
Yeah.
Lions 31, Giants 18. A big shocker here. We expected I think we all picked the Giants.
Yep, we did.
Are the Lions good or the Giants bad?
The Lions are good.
See all of the above, maybe. No, D, none of the
The
above.
Lions are
said,
good on
yep.
the road. They won 2 games back to back now.
Jamal Williams 64-3 on the ground. Amon-Ra 7 for 76.
They're healthy.
Swift got a touchdown here. I'm praying to God that they've been kind of holding him back and he'll go off against Buffalo. He lost 2 goal line TDs to Williams.
Nope, that's their offense. Is that offense? The Lions are finally healthy again, and it's going to be an interesting game in 48 hours.
Yeah, I agree with that. Less than 48 hours. The Giants they concentrated on shutting down Saquon and it worked. Or at least the Lions did. They were going to run blitz and keep out of there. And Danny Nichols is terrible. Everybody knows how I feel about him. Saquon only 22 rush yards, 2 for 13. Matt Breida steals the goal line touchdown, which sucked for all of us who own Saquon.
Yes.
I mean, Danny Nichols,
That's too bad.
341 yards and a touchdown and 51 on the ground. I mean, it's great fantasy numbers, but it's not winning football.
I'm going to start calling him Danny Fields with those numbers. Shit.
No, but you know, you keep saying I kept picking on Fields until last week.
Yeah.
No matter what Danny Dime does, you're going to pick on him, call him Danny Nickel, Danny Dime, Danny
He's
anything.
terrible.
I'll take a guy who throws 341 and 1 any day of the week.
Okay, take him because you'll get boat raced and lose too.
Well, the problem there was they shut down Saquon, and all they had was wide receivers to throw the ball to, and their
They don't have
number one wide receiver got hurt, and they didn't get anybody else to throw the damn ball to.
Seems like a very similar game plan defensively as what Buffalo ran against the Browns, if you think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Wandale 9 for 100. We already covered he's out. Slayton was 5 for 86. He's the only wide receiver to own in New York.
I mean, they have other wide receivers.
And even that's a stretch.
They
Oh, they
do.
just-
Kenny Galladay had catches.
Are they
Oh
actually
my
just-
God.
Are they just go in the stadium and go, you look like you're shit. Come here.
Can you catch?
Don't care. You can run a pattern. We'll throw the ball at you, and hopefully you can stick.
Right. Here's some stickem. Ravens 13, Panthers 3. Maybe it did matter the Panthers had extra time. I'm not sure how
The
this
second
one.
ugly game of the week.
This was 3-3 for a long time,
This
too.
was horrible to watch.
In the
Horrible
fourth
to
quarter,
watch.
Lamar ran one in, salvaged his fantasy day. Demarcus Robinson 9 for 128 because he is literally always open. I don't know how it is, but it's almost like Travis Kelce used to be.
Magical
Lamar-
disappearing tight end.
If Lamar throws it downfield, it's going to Demarcus Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you notice he was almost always on the side of Mandrews.
Yeah,
And
because
so that's where the
Mandrew draws
attention,
the
that
suck in.
safety attention's going. So he's got a one-on-one most of the time.
So Mandrew 6 for 63. Rest of the players in this game were inconsequential.
Except for one. If you're in a league that has defensive players, Burns, the defensive end for the Carolina Panthers, holy crap, he got two free shots at Lamar and took them.
How much money do you think Lamar's costing himself with these type of performances as he still hasn't signed that contract?
As much as he earned himself the first few games this season.
Yep.
He's about break-even point right now.
I agree. Commanders 23, Texans 10. This wasn't close. After a pick 6 on the second play, the Commanders were in control. Gibson, the best player, 72 yards rushing, 3 for 31. Samuel had the other TD. Mills ran one in. McLaurin, Robinson, Pierce, Cooks, and Collins were all pretty much shut down in this game. It was
A stink
God.
fest.
It was terrible.
But the Commodes won.
Outside of the pick 6 to start it, I was like, that's what I expected. I expected we were going to turn him over, and I expected a lot more. It just never happened.
That was a game that only true fans would like in their moms.
Yes.
Hmm.
Saints 27, Rams 20. Andy Dalton went 260 and 3, 5 for 102 and 1 to Chris Olave, who is definitely the most ready wide receiver right now of all the rookies. He also threw one to Landry and one to Juwan Johnson, as per usual. Juwan Johnson, that's 3 games in a row with a TD.
Yes, won a game.
Alvin Kamara was just okay, 42 rushing, 4 for 47 on through the air to save his fantasy day. Stafford threw an early bomb to Tutu Atwell for 62 yards, and then another touchdown to Allen Robinson later, but left in the third with his concussion symptoms. Akers led him in rushing with 61, but it was Kyron Williams getting 55% of the snaps. And after cutting Darrell Henderson, I'm betting they're going to run Kyron Williams to death.
Yes. Yes and yes. They're going to try getting the season over with as quickly as possible. Run the ball, hand it off, because Stafford's done.
Stafford's definitely done for at least the next couple of weeks. We're probably getting Bryce Perkins this week against the Chiefs. So, wow, guess who will be picking in that game? Raiders 22, Broncos 16 in overtime. Oh, hell yes. Devontae Adams walks off the Broncos in OT, 7 for 141 and 2, leading the league in receiving TDs with 10. He has 26 catches, 407 yards, and 5 TDs in the past 3 games. He is the man.
Are you okay? You need alone time.
No, I had plenty of alone time.
I just thought you make sure you didn't need more alone time now.
I did love that Devontae walks it into the end zone and is waving by to the Broncos fans. Oh, that's
what are his
awesome.
last 3 weeks now? What are those numbers again?
26, 407, and 5.
He's blowing up.
Yeah.
Yep.
Josh Jacobs again owned the Broncos, 109 yards rushing, 3 for 51 out of the backfield. That's a monster.
Who doesn't own the Broncos this year?
A good call. The 49ers. Derek Carr was 308 and 2, led that great 3-play drive in overtime.
13 seconds. Not really. I have no idea how much time it was.
It was a couple of minutes. Latavius Murray, 49 and 1 on the ground, 4 for 23 through the air. Get ready for those numbers to improve. He's going to be the man. Cortland Sutton, 5 for 80. Another big loss for the Broncos. So Broncos country. Let's ride.
Let's fire.
Well, here's a question for you. Is Russ still screwing the 49ers over? Oh, yeah. He's going to give Seahawks a top 5 pick this year.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Well, same thing with the Texans. The Texans are loving the fact that the Browns are losing these games.
Oh, yeah.
They're pick 7 right now. The Browns are.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be like last year where the Giants and the Jets had two picks in the top 7, I think.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have the Texans and the Seahawks with 4 picks in the top 6.
Well, the Seahawks won't because they're 6 and 4.
That's
they're
correct.
like 19 or 20
you
or
are
something
correct.
right now. So on weekly picks, we are going to the tape. Doc is 12 and 2. Tobin and I both 10 and 4. I am now in last by 1 game. Tobin's lead is shrinking.
I picked up 2 games on him this week, and I think I picked up a game on you last week, didn't I?
Yeah, you were only, 12 back
I think I'm 7 games back now.
No, you're 8 games back.
Okay. My math skills are
Close. Yes, your math skills are
Math
terrible.
is hard.
It is very
If
hard.
we could get a math teacher to sponsor us, maybe some tutors, give us a call.
Definitely.
We'll
Sylvan-
work you a
give-
deal.
Sylvan
I can work
Learning
in
Center,
Abacus.
please come see us. All right, we're going to head out for a break real quick. We'll be right back with waivers and top 5s.
Indian Media Productions is your one-stop shop for all of your media creation needs. Whether it's producing a podcast like the one you're listening to, or maybe you just need some video for your social media and websites, sales and promotional videos, or even TV commercials, we've got you covered. Check us out at IndianMediaPro.com. After you've listened to Warsquared and have your lineups locked in for the week, we invite you to go over and check out 3 Dogs and a Dude. It's a podcast inspired by 3 crazy rescue dogs and their dude who like having conversations with interesting people. You never know who might pop into the studio as a guest, and we guarantee some laughs. Check out 3 Dogs and a Dude wherever you get your podcasts.
Are you high? All right, let's come back in here and we'll get to waivers here. I'm going to keep Isaiah Pacheco at the top of my waiver list here. If he's available out there, you've got to go grab him. I'm going to put Latavius Murray number 2 because he's the guy in Denver right now.
Ain't nobody else there.
I mean, it's either him or Marlon Mack or Divine Ozigbo.
Wasn't he?
Who?
He was a
The
Jackson.
Bowling Green fight song, Isaac Zumba Zumba Zumba.
It's like
Say?
that, but different. Because they also put Chase Edmonds, who they just got last week. He's got a high ankle sprain, so he's out for 4 weeks. He's on IR. Rashad White is next on this list. I expect him to start this week against Cleveland. I'm putting Treylon Burks here. I'm hoping.
I had him there last week. He's still there this week.
I'm hoping that he's finally unleashed. That could be awesome for the Titans.
I'm hoping more than you are.
I'm sure you are. I'm putting Samaje Perine next because we know Joe Mixon's not going to make it this week, or at least I don't think he's going to make it, and he might not be available next week. Again, this is probably a long play for the Bengals. Why risk it when you're going to need him in the playoffs? Demarcus Robinson is next for me.
And why is that?
Because he's always open.
Bingo.
Right now, he is always open for Lamar. So I don't know what else you could want from a guy other than being open. Darius Slayton is next. He's all the Giants have at wide receiver, in my opinion.
He's all they have.
Sky Moore looks like he's grown up. I'd take a gamble on him while Tony could be out, and we don't know about Juju yet. It's still early. We don't know about practice reports. Julio looks like Brady's favorite target right now. If he's ready to go, I'd fire him up, be a lot more comfortable with him being a guy who can break for a touchdown. I think Godwin gets a lot more receptions, but I think Julio could be the scorer. And then number 10 is Jawan Johnson because he gets a TD every week from Dalton.
Mm-hmm. I had on the list Jameson Williams. He was activated off the PUP list today. He probably will not play this Thursday, but he's one of those wide receivers that if you need one, he's the one to get. He's probably the most explosive wide receiver available in most leagues. I own him in every league that I'm in. I was expecting him back last month at this time. Didn't make it. I'm even more encouraged about him being back now, especially with the Lions getting healthy everywhere else. Gives him another weapon on offense, and that Lions offense is going to be incredible to watch over the next few weeks.
Yeah, I think this week they're hurt by the fact that they play on Thursday. If they played on Sunday, he might play.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Parrish, the wide receiver for Indianapolis, is here as well.
Oh, Paris Campbell?
Paris Campbell, yes. Paris Campbell, I'm sorry. And Isaiah Spiller, the running back for the San Diego Chargers. Got quite a few touches this last week. Looks really good. Eckler, we know, is injury prone. So those are mine.
Yeah, I mean, I would much rather take a shot on Spiller than on Sony Michel.
Oh, I would too. Yeah. Sony Michel's on his, 12th team in the last 2 years?
Something like that. We'll go to top fives. For my top five, I'm going to start with Patrick Mahomes until further notice, then go with Jalen Hurts, Joe Burrow, Justin Fields. Actually meant to take Justin Fields out of this. Tua and Lamar Jackson.
I've got Mahomes, Hurts, Burrow, Tua, and Josh Allen. I think Josh Allen's going to be forced to run the ball this week. I think he's going to probably have about 80 yards rushing with the touchdown.
Yeah, he could. I mean, he could easily put up the same numbers that Danny Dimes put up against him, if not better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Running backs, I have Derrick Henry, Austin Eckler, CMC, Barkley, and Nick Chubb.
I went Derrick Henry, Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley, Tony Pollard, and Jonathan Taylor. I don't know. I don't like Austin Eckler this week against the Cardinals. I think they'll go more to passing, and they'll just throw all over him.
But he's the safety valve. He'll probably have 8 to 10 catches.
Yeah, maybe.
For about 60 yards. That gets you 16 points there without doing anything else.
Yeah, maybe. Wide receiver, we'll start with Tyreek. He's back. They get the Texans in Miami. DeAndre Hopkins, until further notice, he's going to be up at the top of this thing because even with a crappy quarterback in a crappy matchup, he still had 9 catches for 91 yards. Devontae Adams has got to be up here too after his latest performances. Justin Jefferson moves down primarily this week because I think that the Patriots are going to shut down Kirk.
Because Kirk sucks.
And then I'll put Stephon Diggs on here. It's in prime time.
Yep. I've got Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, Justin Jefferson, A.J. Brown, and Waddle. They're playing their Texans. Come on. They're going to have, each one going to have probably 8 catches for at least 140 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah, it's possible. And they're coming off a bye week.
Yep.
At tight end, you know the top two. It's going to be Kelsey and Mandrews. Then I'm going to put Hawkinson on here because he's a bailout. Even in bad matchups, he's getting 5 catches. Dalton Schultz, I hope he just tears up the Giants with the Cowboys.
You just hate the Giants that much.
I hate the Giants. And then I said it. I'm putting Pat Freiermuth in here. He's going to get 7 or 8 catches a week. I don't know that it's going to be for more than 60 or 70 yards, but he's going to get a lot of receptions.
Yep, I have Kelsey, Mandrews, Kittle. I think Kittle made an appearance this last week. I think he does nothing but build on that. And it's the time of the year where he excels. It's physical, playoff type football, and he likes that type of stuff. And then I have Freiermuth, and believe it or not, I've got Austin Hooper for the Titans there.
I thought about Hooper in this one.
He looked good last week, and he ran. And traditionally, Tannehill throws the tight end.
Yeah. Yeah, I just don't like the inconsistency in their passing game. I'm expecting a Henry Hammer week this week.
But Tennessee's offense this week looked like what Tennessee's offense looked like 2 years ago at this time.
Oh, what it should look like.
What it should look like. But they have a competent number one wide receiver in Burke, and they've got a tight end Hooper that makes great catches, like we had with Jonnu Smith 2 years ago.
For my sleepers this week, I'm going with Darius Slayton. He's all that the Giants have. I'm going to go with Antonio Gibson because they play the Falcons, and the Falcons are terrible against the run. I'm going with Doc's Treylon Burks. I think he can tear up the Bengals. I'm going with Latavius Murray, who we talked about. He's the number one guy in Denver now, and Carolina can't stop the run. And then I'm going to go with George Pickens. Man, I like this kid.
Kid is talented. I'm only going to I'm going to add Mike Gesicki to this list. I think this is a Mike Gesicki week where he has 4 catches and a touchdown and does a really bad dance afterwards.
The whole damn Dolphins receiving core this week is what I'm hearing.
I mean, the only thing I haven't got, when we start picking our bust out players of the week, I'm looking at the Dolphins going, well, they're going to do well.
You probably have to call
they're going to good.
Tua at that point.
They're going to do good.
Have every option open.
I think I chose Tua, but I thought seriously about putting the Dolphins defense on here as a bust out because they're going to be on the field all the time, which means they're going to get a lot of chances at picks and sacks.
Yeah, I mean the other Dolphins player that I was going to put in sleepers is Jeff Wilson Jr.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to smoke the Texans.
Or Mostert.
Yeah, they'll probably both have touchdowns.
I would not be surprised if they had two receivers and 2 running backs with a combined 100 yards apiece on this game.
Yep. So we'll go into league recaps here. We'll start with a dynasty league. I barely beat Nick. Doc got beat down by Billy. Tobin curb stomp Shook. It was brutal. The projector lost and Zane was whipped. Zane and Shook are battling for pancakes in the dynasty.
Going to be one of them. One of them's got 3 wins. The other one's got 2, and it's not looking good for either one of them.
And they play each other in 2 weeks.
I know.
The winner of that game is gonna not be eating pancakes probably.
The loser of that game is the pancake.
But we never decided last year whether it's how to do this because I won the trifecta last year in this league. Whether it's the regular season total points or who loses the Tidy Bowl.
No, I think we said regular season. Dead ass last regular season.
It's dead. It's whoever.
We never decided that last year because I won the trifecta, so it didn't matter.
He swept it.
Yeah.
So
going down in flames.
It'll be who has the worst record.
Okay, worst regular season record,
and it's he's probably in the vying for worst points too. But Billy did call me today, and he said a word I can't say on air, but he said he loved it. And
he beat my ass.
It's that Doc dropped from 1st to 3rd in his division.
This is what happens when you lose Brace Hall, Leonard Fournette, Jamar Chase, Kyle Pitts, DK Dobbins, Rashard Bateman. I mean, at this point in time, of the players that I was counting on to play in the league, I've got 4 of them are healthier than 9.
Yeah. The other thing that I think is hilarious is that you've already got Jamar Chase in your lineup this week, and
optimistic.
Yeah,
optimistic. Gotta be optimistic.
He was literally on crutches last week.
Gotta be optimistic, baby.
I got you.
Hey, if you look, I think Jameson Williamson's in there too, but I'm not sure.
Oh no, he's not in your lineup yet.
I thought I put him in there earlier today, but I'm not sure.
In the BNI league, Tobin just did enough to beat me. And in the 3rd quarter, before Colt McCoy threw the interception Monday night, I was like, I need 3 receptions, 30 yards, and a touchdown.
Have you beat Tobin or Ryan in any fantasy leagues this year?
Yes.
Who?
I beat Tobin twice in the dynasty.
Okay. I know you haven't beat me.
No, I haven't beat you yet. Megan beat Doc, meaning Megan, Allie, and I are tied on top of the 2-pack division.
Yeah, because good old Dak threw 2 touchdown passes to Pollard. Don't anybody else. I win. But no! Pollard twice.
Yeah.
And in the BNI league, I'm number 4 in the league in scoring and getting up the most points. You're right, I'm whining because the way it happens sometimes. But she beat me in
She did.
Fair
Now,
and square.
Doc is tied for second with 3 others in the Big E division. Tobin's coming up quick on the outside in that division. His team is rounding into form just at the right time. Brandon obviously took his team to Florida.
He
Didn't
must
get
have been
any subs in.
distracted down there is the only thing I can go with.
Yeah, he must have been tied up in the negligee. And
His or hers.
210, 220, whatever it takes. And Zane is 100% last by 3 games.
Zane, you better start eating pancakes, buddy.
With 3 weeks to go.
You better start learning how to eat pancakes, dude.
Oh, my
I'm
gosh.
sure that you can. And we'll be there to support you, but man, dude.
His unmagic number is 0.
Yeah.
Not magic number, unmagic
All it
number.
takes is a tie. And
His
like that,
maple
he's done.
syrup number is 0.
Yes.
That's his margin for error.
100%. He has,
We need to find a way to put that on the website, the maple syrup number for our people.
in the Scott Fish Bowl, this was the last week. People are qualified for the playoffs or they're not.
And the league's
I'm out.
over. Done.
Yeah, I'm done.
Have you learned anything from your drafting in that league?
Yes.
Who should you have taken with the first pick in the draft?
I should have taken Mahomes. I probably would have
Okay.
taken Allen.
Yeah. Either one's perfectly okay.
And that's another thing.
Better than JT.
Another thing that let's be honest. JT having 1 touchdown until 2 weeks ago, that kills you.
Even if JT has the same year he had last year, you still take Mahomes around with the first pick in the draft.
Yeah, probably so. I probably should have. But one of the things I really did not factor in, since this was the first super flex I'd ever done, I didn't factor in that only 5 players would go that weren't quarterbacks would go in the next 20 picks. So I was left with Derek Carr as my top quarterback.
And Carson Wentz.
And Carson Wentz and Baker Mayfield. Those are the 3 quarterbacks I drafted. And it just didn't matter.
And you wonder why I'm doing the drafting next year if we get in our league.
Yeah, that's...
Oh, yeah, that's going to solve everything.
You're done.
What you can do is, if I pick people, guarantee they're going to get injured at some point in time that season. Just my luck. Just the way it goes.
Yeah.
That's why I used to take nothing but Colts and Chiefs players.
So that those teams would suffer.
Yes.
Is there a penalty for dead last in the league in Wichita?
No.
Because there should be.
I think he has to eat
There
pancakes.
definitely.
I think he has to eat pancakes too. What do you think?
I think he should have to panhandle until he pays each of us $200.
How many agree
think
with
about
that?
Pass.
It's 2 to 1. You
lose.
lose. Motion carries.
You're in the corner by Townies soon.
Yeah, you may see that anyways.
I mean, Christmas is coming.
You're going to work for Ross, right?
Troy does need more gaming systems, allegedly. In the agents leagues, Freddie beat me behind Pat to Kelsey and Jamal Williams. Those 3 I had covered by 5 points.
I don't
My
feel so.
entire team outscored those 3 dudes by 5 points. Freddie had like 75 points going into the Sunday night game where he had Pat and Travis Kelsey and ended up with 150 points. Okay. So Freddie and I are now tied for second. We've split the head to head and have the same division records, but he's ahead on points. So I'm going to have to win more games over the next 3 weeks than he does. I need him to lose. Doc is now tied for second with Wardo, who just beat him thanks to Darren having a better division record.
Mm-hmm.
Doc has the better point totals, but the other big thing here is Satan lost to Dak.
Maybe there's a chance for you.
I'm telling you.
Maybe that voodoo doll he's got hidden someplace has been found out and burned.
I don't know. We'll see. The other funny thing about that, Dak now has a better record than Captain Mayor Brad.
And I played Brad this week, which means he's going to go off.
Oh yeah, he's going to go off for 200 points. Won't even be close.
Yep.
All right, well, that's our recap for the show. We're done for this evening. Hey, everybody have a happy Thanksgiving. We'll see you next week.
Oh, we had the bonus segment.
We do, but it's on a separate pod.
You're right. But come to that pod and watch the listen to the bonus segment. That's